What's going on YouTube? So the X5 has long been one of BMW's most popular products, which is what makes this refreshed 2024 model so consequential. And we want to know, with numerous powertrain, interior, and exterior changes, is it better than before? Let's go ahead and find out. So a fitting place to start off this review is under the hood because it sees substantial upgrades for 2024. We have a 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder model making 375 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque, which is up 40 horsepower over last year. There is also a substantially upgraded plug-in hybrid model, but we'll talk about all the details a little later when we drive it.
It's going to be routed to the ground via an 8-speed transmission. You have rear drive or optional all-wheel drive, and your fuel economy is also going to be up 2 miles per gallon combined over last year at 25 mpg.
Now, like I said, we are going to take this out for a drive a little later in the video, but first let's go ahead, close up the hood, and take a look at the exterior design enhancements. So when it comes to the exterior design of this refreshed X5, I think the most important thing to note is that it does not get the same changes that the refreshed X7 got last year. That means your kidney grills are going to remain about the same size and your headlights are going to remain all one piece. But let's dive in and actually look at what is different. So like I was saying, your kidney grills are going to be basically the same size. They're going to be finished in a satin chrome here on this model. We have the Sport version, but as always, they do also offer an M Sport version. That model is going to get more substantial changes to the front look. One of the big things is that it's going to have a very aggressive lower fascia, and it's actually going to have a black piece that connects down into that, making a large black area on the front of the grille. With the Sport model, you have this cleaner look with the silver accents down here at the bottom. However, all models now get this new accenting slit over here on the side, which kind of gives it a wider overall presence. Additionally, the grille is illuminated for the very first time, and let's talk about these updated headlights. These look a lot different than the 2023 model. As you can see, we have a new arrow theme to this. So you have your daytime running light and turn signal indicator going through there. Standard LEDs as you'd expect, but we do have the enhanced LEDs on this model as an option. That includes adaptive abilities and cornering lamps. Now as we move around to the rear design, BMW has made some changes for sure. It is definitely less noticeable than what is in the front, but it still has just a really clean, classy look like the overall rest of the design.
Yeah, I love the X5. I always have. It has that signature BMW look, and the biggest area of departure are the taillights. Now, they're not massively different than the pre-refresh model, but BMW now says they make an X shape. So if you kind of go down through here, it makes an X and across as well. So let's go ahead and see if these new taillights are full LED. All right, so we have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light integrated down here, and we do also have an LED turn signal indicator. One of the nice things about these taillights is it has the nice fading in animation for the turn signal itself, which is a nice premium touch that we've seen on the BMW X7, so that's going to be on this new X5. Now dropping down to the lower area, all of this is going to be finished in a matte black plastic for the Sport model. If you go for M Sport, all of this is going to be body color. So I know a lot of you guys don't like the rugged matte black. Go for the M Sport if you want full body color. Now down here we have another piece of black. We also have silver accentings to keep things nice and spicy. We also have dual integrated exhaust outlets on every single X5 model. M Sport's going to make it a little bit larger. And as far as your tow rating, 7,200 pounds.
Next up, let's go ahead and talk about your wheels. So for 2024, BMW's actually dropped the 19-inch standard wheel. You're going to have at least 20 inches on all models. However, you also have 21 and 22-inch options in a wide variety of schemes. This is a optional 21-inch alloy. I really like the way this looks. A nice contrast design. And then moving up here to our mirrors, they are of course fully loaded. So that means you have heating, power folding, auto dimming, and blind spot monitoring.
Now at the side of the BMW X5, we're still looking at an overall length of 194.2 inches, which is right on par with that of the Lexus RX, Mercedes-Benz GLE, and Genesis GV80. As far as some of the design elements for this sport model, we have chrome window surrounds, a chrome roof rail. M Sport's going to black everything out for a little bit of a sportier look. But let's go ahead and dive into the safety systems because BMW has changed this for 2024. They're including 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard equipment on the X5, and then the driver's assistance professional package will further add adaptive cruise control, and new this year is you have a highway assistant that allows for semi-autonomous hands-free driving at up to 85 miles per hour. So that's a really cool tech feature that's come down from the BMW 7 Series to this BMW X5. But guys, there is a tech-filled cabin new for 2024, so let's go ahead and dive into that before we take it out in a spin.
Now, like Mason said, there's some good things you're going to want to see on the interior, but first let's take a look at our key fob. This has been updated with the newest BMW key fob. As you can see, different shape to this. You do have metal trim along the side. I also want to point out that this also has digital key, so you have a key card, and you can also use your phone as the key to get inside the vehicle without the fob. Now just reach behind the door handle, that will unlock the door, and take a look inside that cabin. As you can see, it has been upgraded with all the latest and greatest design and technology. But before we really get into that, I want to first talk about your interior material and color options. So you do have standard Sensafin leatherette seating. That's actually what we have on today's example. You wouldn't know it though because of the design. Look at this beautiful seat. You have a lot of perforation, a lot of quilting and stitching details, and it feels super, super realistic for a faux leather. This is known as Silverstone as the color, but you can also get coffee, cognac, or black. And then you can also get optional genuine merino leather in the same colors if you prefer the real thing. Now down below, you have a standard 16-way power adjusting seat. However, we have the multi-contour seating package. So that's going to upgrade us to 20 ways of adjustment, including a power thigh extension. Additionally, you can get 8-way massage as an option for about $1,000. But let's go ahead and hop inside. Like I was saying, the overall design inside of here has been revised quite a bit. So let's go ahead and dive into that and the materials on board. So over here in our door trim, we do have leather across the entire armrest through the center section, as well as along the top with a double stitching detail. Of course, we have 2-person memory seating and 4 fully automatic windows as well. Now as we move to the upper dash, this is also going to be finished in a leatherette with a stitching detail. We have a large piece of wood that's going to run through the center section. You have several different choices that you can pick. This is a open pore selection, really, really nice. And then underneath of this is also a new feature for 2024. This is an ambient interactive light bar. So it does play entry and exit animations when you get in and out. It also lights up when you talk to the voice assistant, kind of like your best friend, Alexa. Now down below, we have a ton of that open pore wood all through here. We've got the glass controls, and of course we have leather along the console. So all very, very nicely done. But let's go ahead and fire it up. But like always, let's go ahead and move into a first-person perspective and take a look at all the details. Of course, one of the biggest changes is this new curved dual display setup. And we'll start out over here with our gauge cluster. So this side is going to be 12.3 inches. It does have all the latest graphics that change when you change to different drive modes. And in addition to that, we have a very much enhanced head-up display. So this is going to be larger. It's also going to be a lot better graphics. And this is included in the premium package. Now pulling back to the steering wheel, we do have the typical BMW steering wheel. This is going to be the 4-spoke design on the Sport model. You get the 3-spoke M Sport steering wheel if you choose the M Sport model, as you'd expect. And then down below it is going to be power adjusting on all models. Additionally, heating is going to be optional, and when you choose the heated steering wheel, that's also going to give you the heated armrest. But let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage. This part has not really changed this year, so you still have a pretty nicely sized center console. Relatively deep. It does have a rubber lining down there at the bottom, as well as illumination and a USB port. But let's see how it stores the metric of luxury vehicles. Fat stacks of cash. It's going to swallow those up, no problem whatsoever. Underneath of the wood trim, we've got our 2 cup holders. We have another USB. We have a 12-volt outlet. We also have a wireless phone charging pad up there. Now moving back, this is one of the adjusted areas. We have a small nub-like shifter. BMW definitely saved a little bit of money on glass because it's about a quarter of the size of the old shifter. Nevertheless, operation is the same. So you press that way for drive. You can press again for sport mode, and you do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Press the opposite direction, that's going to bring you into reverse. And when you go into reverse, you're going to find either a traditional backup camera or this 360-degree camera system if you've chosen the parking assistance package. Inside of here, you've got some special features such as the 3D view. Everyone really loves that feature because it gives you all around the vehicle. And furthermore, you do have automatic parallel and perpendicular parking with that package. Then, of course, just press the P for park. Behind that, you do have your electronic parking brake and brake hold function as well. Now, even though the main display is a touchscreen, you can also control it with the iDrive controller, also finished in glass. And by the way, all the glass controls are part of the executive package. And now let's move on up here to our volume knob and talk about audio systems. So you do have a standard 10-speaker sound system with the X5. However, we have the optional 464-watt 16-speaker Harman Kardon premium sound system. So let's go ahead and give that a sample. We have the gesture control as an option in the executive package, so we can turn it up like this. Yeah, so overall sound quality is certainly really solid. It sounds excellent, and you can also get a 1500 watt 20 speaker Bauer & Wilkins Diamond Series if for whatever reason this still is not good enough for you. Alright, so you may notice that over here in the area where we previously had some climate buttons, we don't really have anything. This is kind of a carbon fiber trim through here and some new vent designs, but the actual climate controls are now going to be inside of the main display. Down here on the lower part is where you're going to adjust the temperature. If you need something additional, you're going to press the climate menu, and this is going to bring up this somewhat overwhelming list of functions, but most of it is automatically operated, including our heated steering wheel, our heated seats, and our ventilated seats. So heated seats and ventilated seats are going to be part of the climate comfort package, as is quad zone automatic climate control. So we have all of those functions, otherwise you'll have a standard dual zone automatic climate setup. But let's exit out of that and take a look at our display. So this is 14.9 inches, and it is the newest floating design effect. Really nice look to this. It's also going to be running the latest iDrive 8.0. So you'll notice the graphics look a little bit different than they did last year with these kind of animated tiles. But overall performance is really snappy. We do have the built-in navigation system, but if you don't want to use this, you also have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. Now moving on from the enhanced technology, we do have an auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes as standard equipment. Also standard is this panoramic sunroof. So as you can see, nice large piece of glass. We do have the power sunshade. It goes all the way back to the second row, and the front panel does open up. Additionally up here, this is the standard headliner, but you can option on a Alcantara headliner for a more premium feel.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be in the back of the BMW X5, and that is not going to change for this refresh model year. So as far as the space is concerned, let's go ahead and knock that out first. 37.4 inches of legroom, 40.8 inches of headroom. That is a little bit smaller than the Mercedes-Benz GLE, its chief competitor. It is going to be right on par with that of the Lexus RX, though. So a good amount of space. And as far as how much knee room I have, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and I'm looking at about 6 inches of knee space. So not a ton, but enough. And then my feet can also easily slide up underneath the seat. We do have some nice illumination underneath the seat as well. Now, let's talk about some features. So we do have vents here in the center. We also have them integrated here on the B-pillar. So on a nice hot day, you can stay nice and cool. And then dropping down below that, we do have the optional 4-zone climate control. So both of the rear passengers can adjust their temperature to whatever they'd like it to be, which is very nice and luxurious. That's not offered on some of the competition. We have heated rear seats. That is also an option. Dropping down below that, little storage cubby. We also have 2 USBs, a 12-volt outlet. More USBs are going to be integrated into the seat backs, so you don't even have to bend down to plug your phone in. You can do that in the back of the seat. Now, folding down the center armrest, it's a nice one. You do have a little bit of storage inside of here. I think you might be able to fit some coupons or $100 bills, depends on how bougie you're going to be. And then up in front of that, we do have 2 cup holders nicely integrated in there. Let's check out our door trim. Door trim, nicely finished. We have leather all through here, leather on the armrest portion. And then up at the top, you will notice that we have rear window sunshades. That's also an option on this X5. If you're getting the hint that there's a lot of options, that is indeed the case. Dropping down below that, we have bottle storage as well. Now walking up to the tailgate of the BMW X5, we do have a hands-free power opening one standard on every single model. So just kick your foot under the bumper to open it up. As you can see, BMW does this right. The Germans, you know, they like to over-engineer everything, and they certainly have worked on making the tailgate work every single time. Now, as far as the space is concerned back here, I do want to point out you have about 34 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats, and as a maximum, you're looking at 72 cubic feet. That's a good amount of space for the segment. Do keep in mind, though, if you go for the plug-in hybrid model, you're going to lose about 1 cubic foot of cargo capacity because of the battery componentry. Now, I do want to point out a really unique feature about the X5. We did some digging, and it's not on the build-in price, but you do have the option of getting a 2 jump seat set up back here, so you do have the option of getting a third row. It's just going to be kind of a special order type of deal. Most X5s will not have a third row. Now, another really interesting thing about the X5 is that you have this 2-part opening tailgate, so you have this lower area, which is great for tailgating, and then this part just opens up like a normal tailgate. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fold these second row seats. Do keep in mind that there is not a handle in the cargo area, so you do have to go up there and manually fold it. All right, so let's go ahead and get our measurement from the back of the seat back all the way to the rear cargo area. We're looking at about 71 inches of space if I try and keep it nice and level, which is a good amount for the segment. I'd say you're probably good to put about a 65-inch flat screen in the back of this X5 with no issues whatsoever. Also, the seats do fold 40-20-40 split, so I want to point that out. Now, lifting up the cargo floor, really interesting thing here. The cargo floor is actually lifted by that hydraulic thing there. I've never seen a hydraulic lifting system for the cargo floor itself, but as you can see, there's actually quite a bit of underfloor storage down here. It's definitely enough to put your cargo cover as well as store a few other little things in there. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2024 refreshed BMW X5. This is a big deal for this refreshed model because we have entirely new powertrain set up under the hood and new options this year. So let's go ahead and start out with a hard acceleration, but we will also be talking about a lot of different things in this test drive that you can see here on the screen. But we're very excited to get behind the wheel of this new X5. Little sample there.
Yeah, a little quick jab of the accelerator. So as we talked about a little bit at the spec dump, one of the big things about this is that our 40i model, well, actually all of the powertrains are updated this year, but specifically with the 40i that we're in today, that has quite a bit more power, 40 more horsepower than last year. From our 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder paired with a mild hybrid setup. 375 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque. So you will feel more power behind the wheel, more torque.
Still the same awesome refinement,
That
though.
part stays the same.
Oh my gosh. this X5 has always had one of the most refined motors that money can buy, and I think it gets just a touch better this year because this is the exact same powertrain that you get on the larger BMW X7 as the standard motor. So really you're not sacrificing much over that BMW X7 model besides for the third row. So that's just a really nice benefit that you get with this X5, and that's the standard powertrain, which is more standard power than what you get on the Mercedes GLE. They actually give you a 4-cylinder as standard on that, not an option on the X5.
Yeah, most of this car's rivals are using turbo 4 cylinders as the base engine option.
Now, it's not just more power on paper. It actually does go faster 0 to 60. 5.2 seconds is what you're looking at for this X5 in its base 40i configuration. Now, there are other engine options if you want that. So, like Drew mentioned, every powertrain option is new this year, slightly revised.
Heavily upgraded.
Yeah. So, the plug-in model is known as the E50 or 50E model, and that is going to have a 25.7 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it's going to have 483 horsepower. So, a big boost in
That's
power.
Almost 100 more horsepower from the plug-in hybrid model, as you would expect with that upgraded from 45E to 50E. It's telling you have more power, but also it means you have more pure electric range. You're going to have 40 miles of pure electric range, whereas last year you had 30 miles. So that's really good because this is not a super small SUV, and you're still having 40 miles of range and nearly 500 horsepower.
Yeah, and in addition to that, they have performance variants as well. So you have the M60i model, and you have, of course, the X5M Competition, which is the top dog performance model. Those will be covered in separate reviews that we can't wait to get to the channel, hopefully a little bit later in this year.
This thing feels so fast. It's just so surprising that this is the base engine. All right, now...
I love this powertrain. All right.
It really is. It's just fantastic.
Let's get one of our big Car Confections signature elements, our sound level reading, going 55 miles an hour. Let's see how quiet this X5 is compared to some of the competition. Alrighty, there we go. Our official Car Confections reading, 51.6 decibels. Wow. Guys, that is so impressive. This is the X5 was actually the champ in the segment for the 23 model year. It's even quieter. We drop it down another about full decibel on that. So this is the quietest offering in the entire segment that we've tested out. That does include the new Lexus RX, the Genesis GV80, the Mercedes GLE. We've sampled them all out. This is the quietest of all.
Now, accelerating at a more normal pace is a good time to mention the 8-speed automatic transmission. 99% of the time, it is absolutely just blends into the background. It's a really smooth transmission. Depending on which drive mode you're in, does change the character of it, as you'd expect. You know, sport mode is going to give you snappier, faster response. Comfort mode, like we're in right now, most people will drive around in all the time in this vehicle. That right there just kind of smoothly shifts through the gears as you accelerate.
Now, you do have rear drive as standard. You have optional all-wheel drive, and the fuel economy figures are something that I really want to talk about here because we didn't mention it up until this point, but this 2024 refresh model now has the mild hybrid setup, or more advanced, or the newest mild hybrid setup, and that allows you to achieve 2 miles a gallon better fuel economy than the 2023 model. So we're sitting at 23, 27, 25 miles a gallon combined for both rear drive and all-wheel drive 40i models. The plug-in hybrid has not been rated yet, but Drew already mentioned that you get 40 pure electric range miles, so that's obviously going to be a very efficient option for you if you care most about efficiency. But really impressive fuel economy, guys. I mean, 25 miles a gallon in this segment with this much power is really exceptional.
That's right. Now going around that little bit of a corner and kind of merging onto the highway here would be a good time to briefly mention the dynamics of this model. Now, of course, this is a very luxury-oriented SUV, so even though it is a BMW, luxury is first and foremost. That being said, you do still have, your good basic German dynamics, which is going to be a fast-responding steering rack, good throttle response. Body control is quite nice. This is the standard version. We don't have anything fancy going on. You can get an adaptive air suspension or adaptive dampers. We don't have either of those, but it still is nice and controlled.
Yeah, and as far as your ride quality is concerned, this is the standard setup, as Drew mentioned, and still so good for your ride quality. We're about to go over a bridge right now. And it does a really good job. Now, we have been in other X5s, and we've been in the X7 with the air suspension. Those ride qualities are better than the standard setup here, but certainly nothing to
it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. And
maybe 10%.
We even have large 21-inch alloys on this model. So, the X5 is just one of those vehicles. It's buttery smooth in terms of ride quality from the start, and you can add maybe 10-20% if you go for the air suspension setups, but it's just very impressive regardless of which model you go for.
Now, as I come to a stop here, I think this would be a good time to kind of explain a little further about what a mild hybrid system is, for those of you who don't know about that already. This is a 48-volt kind of electric system, and it does boost the power just ever so slightly in certain circumstances, but its primary purpose is powering your in-car electronics and powering advanced auto start-stop. So this can actually shut off the engine as I come to a stop, like I was just doing, when you're coasting under light loads, and then it just allows it to be extremely smooth when you restart. So you're really not going to feel it operating at all inside of this model.
Yeah. And one of the last things we have to cover here is another signature element, our slam dunk and air ball. I think easily the slam dunk today just has to be the 2024 enhancements for this X5. The X5 was already probably my favorite. Maybe it would be definitely at the top of my list in this segment, and they really just did what they needed to do for this model to make it have the latest technology. It has the best powertrain experience that you can have now. Just a slightly different exterior design, but they didn't overdo it. So I just really love the updates that they've made for this 24 model year.
Now, as far as our air ball is concerned, the old expression, you have to pay to play. That definitely applies here with this X5. Mason's going to talk about pricing in just a second, but let's just say this and the Mercedes GLE are certainly the most expensive options in this class of vehicle by quite a bit.
And the very last thing that I do want to mention here is your warranty for your 50,000 miles as your basic and powertrain. BMW does also include 3 years of complimentary maintenance, which is certainly a benefit over the other German offerings, which do not include that at all. So it's definitely going to save you a bit of money in the first 3 years of ownership. And how much is this BMW X5 going to cost for 2024? Well, you are going to see a price increase. What other things have not increased this year? So about $3,000 more expensive than the 2023 model, and we are getting a lot more technology and powertrain enhancements this year. So we're going to start at $65,200. That's for the 40i rear drive. $67,500 is with xDrive, and then for the plug-in hybrid 50e model, $72,500 is your starting point. Now, this particular model does have quite a few options. It's a BMW, after all. You have to throw in the options, and after all of those plus the $995 destination, we're looking at $78,425 for this particular X5 as tested today. But guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the refreshed 2024 BMW X5. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support because you make this all possible. But if you're not already subscribed, you're totally missing out. You can get the latest updates on some of the newest cars on the market by subscribing. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.